Ahoy VC, welcome to the Personal Oasis. This is the Blind Island. I'm your host Isaac, and today I'm going to be going through some recent spins, things that have been hitting the turntable very frequently recently, and also I am going to be excluding some of the Christmas music that we've been listening to because I'm going to be doing a separate top 5 Christmas albums a list, and that those have been heavy in the rotation recently too. So thank you so much for checking on in with this video. If you like it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. And so let's get started with what we're listening to recently. So first I have Noah Gunderson, Carry the Ghost. Noah Gunderson is a folk pop artist. It releases heavily emotional, personal folk songs, and very much in the vein of just carrying on that singer-songwriter tradition of bearing your soul. And I used to listen to this album a lot a few years back, and recently came back to it. I have seen how much I have grown as a person by how much I used to relate to these songs, and they're heavily sad, heavily depressing, but they're also very honest and very true. It's not one that you're going to just throw on to have a fun, good time with, but it is a beautiful record with lots to say, and it also comes on 2 heavyweight albums. I would really recommend anybody who hasn't listened to this record, go out, even just stream a couple of the songs. I think you'll be delighted by what you see in here. Then next we have what's playing right now on the Personal Oasis, and that is Billy Strayhorn, the Peaceful Side. This was released on the United Jazz label. Billy Strayhorn was a partner with Duke Ellington. He wrote a lot of the big songs for their band. Caravan, Lush Life, fantastic songwriter, and this was one of the only solo albums he ever came out with, which is a real shame because he has a lot of really beautiful piano lines in here. It's a great record, really nice for having a good candlelit dinner with the person that you love. So check out The Peaceful Side by Billy Strayhorn. Next is a great late fall, early winter record, and that is the Staves, If I Was. Again, this record is from 2015. I listened to it a lot when I first finished college. It was only released in the UK. I bought it when Eau Claire actually used to have a really big music festival. And it was run by Justin Vernon, called the Eau Claire Festival. And it just kind of fell through. The first year was full of amazing acts. Second year started to taper off. Third year even more so. And by the fourth, it just dissolved completely. And which is a real shame because I think that the vision for it was very interesting. And Justin Vernon, actually, of Bon Iver, is the producer on this record. And the melodies, harmonies on here are absolutely haunting. If you're a fan of folk pop, you're going to really enjoy a lot of the sounds that you hear on this record. And if you're a fan of tight female harmonies, you're also going to find a lot to enjoy. It's a beautiful record, housed in a wonderful thick sleeve. This one brings back a lot of memories for me. And I think that if you're looking for a good, chilly winter record without having to go to the Christmas aisle, this would be a great place to be. Next, I have Lawndale Beyond BBQ, released on the SST label, known for being home to a lot of big punk rock groups and post-punk groups. This is like a fusion of surf rock with punk, and I really enjoy the mashup of Interstellar Overdrive and Caravan on here. It's a very interesting sounding tune. They take a lot of the old, influx a lot of new sounds into it, and I think that anyone who is looking to kind of get more into the surf rock area, but kind of doesn't want to listen to so much of the stuff that has saxophones or horns, this is a really nice place to get started. Chris Profi introduced this album to me, and I find myself returning to it very frequently. So thanks again, Chris. Really cool record, and happy to have it in the Surf collection. Next is Van Morrison's Poetic Champions Compose. This is a mid-80s release from Van Morrison, definitely one of the high watermarks for Van in his 80s releases. I have been reevaluating his 80s output and seeing that there was a lot more to love than I had initially thought, and he doesn't get into kind of that MOR sound until really later in the 80s and even into the 90s. He is far more concerned with his spiritual aspirations at the time, and also just a really nice, I think that this is one of the very first records really since Astro Weeks where he was trying to blend his love of jazz into his folk rock blues stylings. Really cool sounding record. It does have a little bit of an 80s polish, and so it does sound a little dated, but overall beautiful record. Great singing from Van, and a really nice album if you're looking to kind of crack your way into his 80s output. Really cool stuff. Next is one of my favorites, soulful, funky jazz fusion records. This is a Pleasure with their album Joyous, and man, the album title really matches the sound of the music. It is joyous, it sounds intense, it sounds like everybody wants to get up and dance. Really cool funk and disco-fied, but it has a sophistication that not a lot of those type of groups had at the time. I find myself returning to this record very frequently when I want to get into a good mood. If you're a fan of funky disco, then this is going to be really up your alley. Pleasure, Joyous. You can pick up copies for about $8-10. Highly recommended. Then another one that was just recently featured, and that would be Daedalus Invitation. Very experimental sounding album. I talked about it pretty much at length. There's also a little needle drop on the recent finds video, but I really enjoy just this glitchy IDM sound with also mixed with kind of bachelor pad 50s 60s exotica music. It's a really nice blend of the old and the new, and even having a Scott Joplin 30s brought in as well. It's an alchemy that really works, and I would love to hear a little bit more by this artist as well. Makes me want to explore his catalog. Really cool record, and one for fans who are into out there music. You're going to find a lot to love here. Next is a record I just can't get enough of since it's been purchased, and that's Smile, the Beach Boys. And a lot of people have been commenting about Smile, wondering what's the difference between Smiley Smile and Smile. I might do a video doing the differences between those two records, and also a little bit of the history of Smile. It's been talked about a lot, and by people who are far more qualified than me. A great resource would be to go to Giggins. He is like the guy who knows everything about the Beach Boys, and I've learned a lot from him. So go out to his channel, subscribe to him, check him out. Right now he's going through a complete month of reviewing Love You by the Beach Boys. Really cool guy, and he'll teach you a lot. This is an amazing record though, and anyone who hasn't listened to the Smile sessions needs to. Really cool. And finally, I have Grant Green Blue Break Beats. This is a compilation record that was released in 1998, and a lot of hip-hop producers were sampling Grant Green's acid jazz releases from the late 60s, early 70s, and there is just so much to love in this record. And it's really nice to be able to get the compilation without having to spend over $200 on those original releases. And even though I'd love to get my hands on a hold of those one day, this is a really nice placeholder for now. It also takes some of the grooviest, funkiest tracks from those records, and it is a feel-good record. And I love the album, and I love Grant Green. And those of you who haven't had the chance to listen to much of his kind of acid jazz, check this out. It's also streaming on Spotify. And give it a taste, give it a sample, because I think you'll find a lot to love. All right, guys. Those are the recent spins, things that we have been having on our turntable a lot frequently. What do you think? Any albums on here that you want in your personal collection? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, I hope that you guys have a great day on your own personal oasis. Cheers.